What's going on, everyone? Cash Creatures here. And today we're going to be looking at some undervalued cards in the current Pokemon card market. It's definitely not going to be easy with all of the recent price run-ups, but I think we can find some cards that if you don't buy today, you're going to wish you did within the next 6 to 12 months. So let's get right into it. Of course, we're going to start with everyone's favorite set, the greatest set of all time, Ascended Heroes. There's simply just too many cards in this set to ignore, and I think a lot of these cards are great buys right now. Just kidding. These cards are way too overvalued right now. Today's list is not going to consist of any Ascended Heroes cards. In fact, as most people would agree, these cards have run up way too much within the past, let's say, 3 months. For example, the top chase hit of this set, Mega Gengar EX, you can buy it when it's around 50% up within the past 3 months. But keep in mind that this set, Ascended Heroes, is pretty much brand new. This set is still very early in its print cycle. There's going to be a lot more supply hitting the market, which means a lot more packs getting ripped and a lot more of these cards being pulled. Like, for example, if you're buying the Pikachu when it's over 100% up in the past 3 months, I don't think it's the worst decision in the world, but at the same time, I think you need to, at this point, just exercise some patience, right? These cards aren't going anywhere. People who are pulling these cards are keeping them in mint condition, obviously, right? And there's more and more getting ripped every day. There's more and more packs that are going to be printed every single day. I think we're very, very early in the print cycle for Ascended Heroes. There's going to be a lot of supply that's going to be hitting the market. And just keep in mind what happened with Prismatic last year, right? A lot of the cards were at their all-time highs pretty much within the first 2 to 3 months of the set coming out. And a lot of the cards still have not recovered to those prices and are still well below their all-time highs, talking about the main chase cards in the set, right? So history doesn't repeat itself, but it does tend to rhyme. So just keep that in mind. Today, we're not going to be looking at any Ascended Heroes cards. We're going to be looking at other areas in the market where I think there are opportunity. And that first area is going to be Fusion Strike singles. So Fusion Strike has not been getting a lot of love recently. If we look at the booster box, for example, let's take a look at the 1-year chart for Fusion Strike. It's up about 50% over the year. But for the past 6 months, it is stagnant. So this box has not seen a lot of price appreciation recently within the past few months. And I think a lot of the cards have started going down, if not, staying stagnant. And if you look at these prices right here, you might already see some good opportunities just based on the price point alone. This Gengar is already pretty expensive. There's a lot of Gengar hype right now. So I would stay away from the Gengar for now. But let's take a look at some of these other cards. From Fusion Strike, I like the top alt arts other than Gengar. So if we take a look at the Espeon VMAX, for example, this Espeon VMAX, take a look at the 6 months chart, is down 15% in the past 6 months and is down actually in the past year. So this card at $280, I think is a great buy, and for a few reasons, right? So first of all, if we look at the supply versus demand, there's only 29 near mint listings listed on TCG Player, and there's 35 selling per month, right? So that's a good sell-through rate for this card. If we look at the bottom listings, looks like I'm on the second page here, but if we go back to the first page, there are a few listings sitting around that 270 to 290 price point. But once we get about like 4 or 5 of these off the market, we're already getting into those $300 price points. And, this card, I think it does have the potential to move quickly, especially with this low supply on the market, right? We had a day in April where we sold 10 of this card. And if we get another day like that, we're pretty much wiping out all of these listings under 300, and we're going into the low 300s. And if we get a few more sales from there, we're actually going to be hitting 350, 400 fairly soon. So that's about, if we hit 400, that's about 50% increase from where we are now currently. Additionally, this card in a PSA 10 is selling for about $740. So the ratio between the PSA 10 price to the ungraded price is about 2.5. And I think that gives the ungraded card, the raw card, room to run up a little bit more. And why do I think that? Because if we take a look at the Umbreon VMAX, basically the brother of Espeon, I guess you could say. This card is about $2,100 in a near mint raw. That's the lowest listed on TCG Player. And if we take a look at the PSA 10 pricing, it's about $4,200 right now. So that means it has a ratio of 2, exactly 2 pretty much, for a PSA 10 versus the raw price, right? So why is it that the Espeon has a lower ratio? right? And just going off raw prices alone, why is the Espeon around $270, $280 card, but the Umbreon's a $2,100 card? I mean, I get that Umbreon is, a lot of people like Umbreon a little bit more than the Espeon, but like, I don't think this price discrepancy is justified, right? So I think Espeon is a good purchase right now. Other cards from Fusion Strike are the Celebi V, for example. I like the Celebi V a lot. I really think this is probably the best Celebi artwork we've ever gotten. If anyone in the comments feels differently, please feel free to disagree and let me know what's your favorite Celebi artwork of all time. But I'm a huge fan of this artwork, and I just think it's really cool. The color palette is really, really cool on this card, and I think it just captures Celebi so perfectly. This card currently is sitting at about $78. In the past 6 months, it's up, but if we look at the price in September of last year, which is about a little over 8 months ago, the time frame I'm looking at right now, and we pretty much are at the exact same price point as of 8 months ago. And I don't think that's justified for this card. There is 76 quantity listed on TCG Player. We're selling about 51 per month. If we do get some interest back in this card, we could run up fairly quickly. Could be hitting the 90s to 100s fairly quickly. I don't think that's uncalled for at all. I think this card is a great pickup. I think it's a great artwork, and I think it's only a matter of time until people come back around to this card. Also, we have the two Mews from this set, the Mew VMAX and the Mew V. We'll take a look at the VMAX first. So near mint pricing for this card, it's about $200. There's 24 sitting on TCG Player right now, and we're selling about 16 a month. If you take a look at the year chart for this Mew VMAX, we're well off the all-time highs in about October. If we look at the near mint lowest listed, we're about 220 actually. And then it goes up pretty quickly. It looks like the prices for this card are kind of, they're not very consistent, right? Like, so if we hit a few sales, we could easily jump back into like the 240s, 250s. For this card, yeah, I think this card isn't super liquid. I don't see a lot of people looking for this card in particular, but I do think it's pretty hard to hit this card, so I think that supply factor is going to drive this card forward. Not the best play out of Fusion Strike in my opinion, but I think this is a pretty good play at the moment. And I do think the Mew V is a pretty good play as well. In my opinion, this is just a better art. There's more Pokemon on it. I think there's a toxicity. I don't even know how to say it, to be honest. Toxtricity. I think that's a Hoopa on the left, and that's a Smeargle right there. Smeargle is a pretty cool Pokemon. And I think there's like a Dreepy right here. Yeah, so if we look at this card, 1 year chart, again, this is very consistent with what we're seeing. A lot of these cards peaked around September, October of last year, and they still have not recovered to their all-time highs. So this card is sitting at about $106 right now. Current quantity on TCG Player is 40, and we're selling 53 per month, so good sign. Lowest list is about $105. If we sell like 5 to 10 copies of this card on TCG Player, we could be moving up to the 120s, 120 to 125 if we get about 5 to 10 sales on TCG Player. And yeah, I just really do like this art style. It is illustrated by Naoki Saito, which is a pretty popular artist. I think this card will do well. So I do think Fusion Strike has a lot of opportunity in the single cards currently. Again, booster box prices are about $960. It's only a matter of time until those single prices kind of catch up and make its way up. And I do think there's also some opportunity in Destined Rivals right now. People are forgetting that Destined Rivals is easily the best Scarlet and Violet set. And I think a lot of people right now are getting caught up with Ascended Heroes and Phantasmal Flames, right? So a lot of people have already moved on from Destined Rivals. We're seeing the top chase hits from Destined Rivals creep up slowly, and a lot of these top hits are at their all-time highs. But I do think there's some opportunity in some of the illustration rares in Destined Rivals. For example, if we take a look at the Misty Psyduck, this card has already hit a $72 price point. And there's some other really cool illustration rares from this set that I think are not too far behind. And one of those is the Misty's Lapras. So if we take a look at this card, again, it's similar concept to the Psyduck, right? It's Misty. It's a nice art style, and it does have a Gen 1 Pokemon Lapras, which a lot of people are a fan of. If we take a look at the 1 year chart for this card, it was higher in, again, about September, October of last year. It hit that $43 price point. Now it's sitting at about $35. We only have 210 quantity listed on TCG Player, and we have 360 selling per month. I think this is a good card. I think this is a no-brainer. If you can get it at in the low 30s, I think this could be, again, like a $45 to $50 card soon. Even with Destined Rivals reprints, I don't know if they're like confirmed or anything, but it's still well within its print cycle, so there will be more Destined Rivals product hitting shelves. But yeah, I think this card still has a lot of upward potential. And another one with similar potential is the Team Rocket's Meowth. This is a great card. I mean, you have Giovanni, you have Meowth. These are two very popular characters, and this is like a chibi art style, which is kind of unique, and we don't get a lot of those. If we take a look at the 1-year chart for this one, we're at currently we're sitting at about $30, but we've been to all the way up to $38 in late September of last year. And if we look at the sell-through, we have about 223 sitting on TCG Player and 287 selling per month. So we like to see these numbers. Recently, this card hit about, right here in April 9th. So less than a month ago, it hit $37. Had kind of a spike up, and then it kind of went back down a little bit. Looks like the high 20s is where people kind of bought it up. And now it's back in the low 30s. I would buy this card up in the low 30s, honestly. I think this could easily be a $40 card, if not more. And I'm also a fan of the Ethan's Typhlosion. This is another really cool art. Ethan is a character from the anime, Ethan's Typhlosion. This has a lot of like anime significance. And if we look at the 1-month chart for this card was about $40. Let's say like 8 months ago, and now it's currently sitting at less than $30, and you can find some listings under $30. Looks like right around $30. If we look at the supply, we have 310 on TCG Player, and we have 438 selling per month. So I do think some of these IRs have potential to keep moving up. I think some of them, like the ones I just mentioned, are a little bit undervalued right now. So just keep your eyes peeled. Try to look for deals for these IRs. So we've talked about a couple sets that have a few cards that are undervalued, mostly because people are looking in other directions right now. But, interest will likely come back to these sets over time, right? These cards aren't going anywhere. Some other opportunity in the market is Mega Evolution promos. And one I like in particular is this Tyrant right here, this Tyrant IR promo. And I just think this card is really cool. It has a really nice artwork, and it's super cheap. This card is about $4. And we're selling 2,700 copies per month, and we only have 600 supply on TCG Player. So I think this is one of those cards that if this gets bought out, I mean, we could see this card at like $10 to $15 easy. So at that point, if you buy right now, you're more than 2 to 3xing your money. All-time high for this card looks to be about $6, but again, it was only, it only came out like a month ago. So I think this card could easily get to about $8, if not 10, 12 plus. Very cool artwork. Yeah, just kind of cool. Pokemon 2 has like that dinosaur prehistoric kind of feel to it. I think a lot of people are not looking at this card right now. And some other promos that are probably good snags right now are these first partner collection promos. First partner collections are going for about $50 right now. So to be able to pick up a lot of these promos are at like $7, like this Litten right here. Turtwig, great Pokemon, great Sinnoh starter, right? Gen 4 starter. Really cool, $7. Poplio, $5, less than $5. Rowlet, we're at about $6. Piplup, this one, I think Piplup seems to be the favorite of those Gen 4 starters, so this one's a little bit higher at $12. Yeah, and then compared to the Charmander, right, this one's all the way up at $44. So it just shows you, like, I mean, these are not like bad Pokemon by any means, right? These were a lot of people's starter Pokemons when they played the game. And I mean, they all have pretty cool designs, like this cool like Fire Cat, right? Turtwig's like one of my favorites. So seeing this at $7 for me is just criminal. Poplio, I'm sure some people like Poplio as well, right? Rowlet, right? These are all people's like starter Pokemons, like I'm sure everyone watching this has like selected one of these starter Pokemon in their lives when they've played the Pokemon games, right? The fact that these cards are just coming down. Pokemon, I don't know how much of these first partner collections they're going to be printing, especially the Series 1, right? There's Series 2, there's Series 3 as well. So the question is like, how much can Pokemon really print of this? I think right now is probably a good time to start accumulating some of these cards if you believe in them. which I do. And if we take a look at the grading potential for these cards, the Turtwig, there haven't been many PSA 10s returned just yet. These are still pretty new cards, but looks like the gem rate for this is pretty good. The Turtwig is like 75% gem rate. The Chimchar is a 63% gem rate. And just for funsies, we can take a look at the eBay sales prices for some of these PSA 10s. Yeah, there we go. So this Turtwig PSA 10 is currently bidding for over $315 right now. There's another active bid for over $265. And if we take a look at some of the sold items to see what they're actually selling for, looks like we're a little bit lower, 247, 250, 250. Yeah, looks like about 250, which is actually kind of strange in that case because we have an active bid at 315. So pretty interesting. Let's take a look at Chimchar. This is just so we can cover our bases here. Yeah, another one over 260 active bid. If we take a look at some of the sales, 250, 250, 200, 270. These are $5 cards, $6 cards, right? So there's the grading potential here too. And I think just in general, these cards, like they're pretty cheap cards now, but like I think the ceiling on these is insane, guys. Like these are starter Pokemon. These are special, like their 30th anniversary promo. I mean, realistically, like the Charmander's already at like $45, right? I wouldn't be surprised if some of these other cards start marching towards that $20, $30, $40 price point within the next 1 to 2 years. And at that point, you're like 3xing your money, right? If not like 4 or 5xing. So I think there's a lot of opportunity here in the Mega Evolution promos, right? Especially because Mega Evolution era is still pretty new, but we're kind of hitting that sweet spot where a lot of people are ripping packs and then reselling the cards, right? And I think over time, these cards are going to get more scarce and they're just going to keep climbing. And there's one honorable mention I do have for today, and that is the Pikachu, the Japanese Pikachu specifically from 151. This card is super dope. It has the Pikachu front and center, obviously, but it also has a lot of other Gen 1 Pokemon, a lot of fan favorites. There's actually seems to be a Gengar here in that bottom left. There's a Jigglypuff here, Growlithe, Psyduck, Slowpoke, a little bit of Nidorans running around. I think there's a Blastoise in the back, Butterfree, right? I'm probably even missing some. But yeah, there's a lot of cool Gen 1 Pokemon in this card. And if you take a look at some of the data, this card is currently selling for about $27. I think it's absolutely a steal at that price point, especially when the PSA 10 price is about 6 times as much as the raw price. And if we get the Japanese version, Japanese cards are fairly easy to grade, so you could probably find copies of these in the wild pretty easily that are PSA 10 contenders. And then if we take a look at the English variant of this, the English version is selling for about $70. Honestly, you could even make an argument that the English version of this card is undervalued, and the English PSA 10 is selling for about over $500. So just keep that in mind with the English PSA 10 selling for about $500. Right? Like the Japanese card for about $25. I think it's an absolute steal. So that's what I got for you today, guys. I hope everyone watching was able to get some value out of this video. And even if you don't buy any of these cards, I hope the mindset of looking for deals in this market, even though it's very overheated, right? If you know where to look and you understand psychology and you understand supply and demand and like just basic economics, you can always find some value in any market. So hopefully you guys took something away from this video, and thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.